The Nikon D5300 is a mid-range DSLR at a solid price point with some great features, but how does it actually perform? So let's start with a physical overview. On the front, it has the standard Nikon F mount with its release button. On the left side, it has the flash control button, the function button, the shooting mode button, as well as the microphone in, AV out, remote shutter in, and HDMI out. On the right, it has a slot for an SD, SDHC, or SDXC card. On the back, it has the screen, the menu button, the info button, the AE and AF lock button, the main dial, the picture playback button, the zoom in and out buttons, the delete button, and the navigation buttons. On the top you have the pop-up flash, the hot shoe, the mode selection dial, the live view slider, the on-off switch, the shutter button, the video record button, another info button, the aperture control button, and the Wi-Fi and GPS modules. The bottom is pretty boring with just a standard tripod mount and a battery slot. The Nikon D5300 is a 24.2 megapixel camera that can take amazing stills with a resolution of up to 6000 by 4000. It can achieve this due to its new APS-C sensor with no anti-aliasing filter and the new X-Speed 4 image processor. The D5300 can take photos with an ISO range of anywhere from 100 to 25,600. This can give you some great night photography. You also have a shutter speed of anywhere from 30 seconds to 1/4000th of a second, as well as bulb and time mode. More about time mode a little later. You can also shoot at a max frames per second of 5 or 4 when you're shooting at the highest quality. The physical size of the unit feels great in the hands. With the battery and the memory card, the camera approximately weighs 530 grams. Speaking of the battery, it takes the standard Nikon EN-EL14A batteries. The one that's included is a 1230 mAh battery that will give you approximately 600 shots on a single charge. But I've found that I can take up to 1500 shots on a single charge. Bear in mind this only happened once. It can also take the older Nikon EN-EL14 batteries, but I do not recommend you use these since the camera doesn't come with them, but they still work anyway. So what sort of quality control do you get? Well, for starters, you can choose between RAW and JPEG files. RAW gives you a lot more quality control in programs like Lightroom, but JPEGs take up a lot less space. If you choose to shoot JPEG, you can choose between 3 preset quality settings: basic, normal, and fine, each of these being slightly better than the one before. You can also choose to shoot RAW and any one of the 3 JPEG files at the same time. You can also choose between 3 different sizes: large, 24 megapixels, medium, 13.5 megapixels, or small, 6 megapixels. Next up, you can choose your color depth, either 12 or 14-bit. 12-bit gives you a color palette of around 68 billion colors, whereas 14-bit gives you around 4 trillion. Whilst we're on the topic of color, next you can choose your color space. This is either sRGB or Adobe RGB. Adobe RGB is the industry standard, and you should probably use that. But you might have some reason to shoot sRGB, so the option's there. You can also choose between multiple preset effects with the camera, none of which I've really used apart from seeing what they do. They include night vision, color sketch, toy camera effect, miniature effect, selective color, silhouette, high key, low key, and HDR painting. Now, I briefly mentioned the screen earlier. It is a 3.2-inch 1037K dot vari-angle display. So what does that mean? Basically, it's a fully articulating screen with a resolution of 720 by 480, which doesn't sound that great, but for this case, with the screen this size, it looks completely fine. It has a 170-degree viewing angle, which covers approximately 100% of the frame. When shooting, the display will show information about the current settings you're using. This is great because you can easily see your shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, as well as if you're bracketing, what your focusing and metering system is, and if you're shooting RAW or JPEG. The screen also allows you to do live view. Live view is great because you can zoom right up into the photo you're about to take and see if the subject's in focus. One thing I wish Nikon would do though is allow you to change your lens's aperture in live view. Why can you not change your lens's aperture in live view, Nikon? Why? Whilst in live view, you can also take video. The D5300 allows you to take 1080p video at up to 60 frames per second, which gives you some pretty good slow-mo when you're on a 24p timeline. So what's it like in the field? Well, the lightweight and compact design makes it easy to carry around or chuck in a bag. I actually took this camera on a trip around Vietnam and Cambodia to put it through its paces, and it actually held up really well. The 24.2 megapixels gives you some great detail even when cropping into photos. The 39 autofocus points, 9 of which being cross-type, are very snappy and surprisingly accurate when tracking moving subjects. Bracketing is a great feature which allows you to take 3 photos at one time, one at the exposure you've set, one up to 2 stops lower than what you've set, and one up to 2 stops higher than what you've set. The 14-bit RAW buffer at 5 frames was a bit of a letdown for me. When I was bracketing, it was alright since I would only shoot 3 frames at a time, but when I wasn't bracketing, 5 frames wasn't enough. I like to do a lot of photography where you just keep your finger on the shutter, taking as many photos as you can, and hoping that one of which is in focus. 5 frames before the camera slowed down was not good enough here for me. The inbuilt Wi-Fi and GPS are some great features that allow you to see where you took your photo and view it on your smartphone or tablet afterwards. But I found these chew through your battery and you won't want to use them if you're planning to go out for a long day's shooting on a single charge of battery. The inbuilt intervalometer is an absolute godsend. I like to do a lot of photography where I want to take a shot longer than 30 seconds, and allowing the camera to take an exposure that will last as long as your battery is amazing. So that's about it. The Nikon D5300 is a mid-range DSLR with a lot of features that pro cameras have at a price that nearly everyone will like. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, leave a comment if you have anything to say, share this video if you think someone else will like it, subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.